Hello everyone, it's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Obiajulu Ugbo and with me are the ladies. Excellent morning everyone. How am I looking? See
You're
who's
looking beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. Alaja Angel, how you doing today? What's up?
What was my banter? This is my head. Okay. Let me just shout out to myself because
You are drying. Rice is going everywhere.
I'm telling you,
Yet
man.
we are using you to be
like
doing
the
extra
FM
things.
working.
And you are still on your view.
And I was, sleepless. I had sleepless nights taking care of a sick child.
Oh.
And when the child runs temperature, you gotta tell your mommy that is good.
Yeah.
So
Is it a lot better now?
Those guys, just put them on the bike, let them play.
Feel mommy.
We'll push it out. So we did that. He said, Mommy, please, I don't want to do hospital. And I did my mommy magic. And we were able to pull through. Once he stopped vomiting,
Everything was better.
yes, we told it. I brought him to work on Monday and we went to Rice. And we went all the places and we pulled together.
Well done. Super mom. Super mom.
Shout out to...
How you doing, darling?
Baby Smossy.
I'm fine. I wasn't supposed to be here today. I was supposed to be at my daughter's Christmas carol. She's comparing the whole thing.
Wow.
So she's been doing that for a while. We're veterans, actually. But I couldn't be there because, last minute change, and I had to be here. She was really upset about it because she thought, Mama, but you promised that you were going to be there. So now I have to rely on pictures and videos. And I'm just wishing her all the best. Yeah.
Sorry about that. It happens. How you doing, Tobe?
I'm good. Yesterday was my my son's carol. There's another one today. No. The twins are doing their own today. The younger one did yesterday. Carol just gives you the opportunity to see how creative those children can be, like little children, literally. And they do amazing choreographies. They sing. One girl, I think she should be like about 7, 8. She did like an opera. I mean, is it opera? Like opera. A voice, like all this. Oh, I'm like, are you kidding me? Who brought this out of her? So I want to celebrate all the teachers who spend so much time digging out and nurturing the creativity within our children, and
God bless them.
God bless all the teachers out there. We can go to work knowing that you're doing your job, and this season I just want to celebrate you. And then I want to shout out to Mrs. Ibuko Awushika. On Sunday, I went for the live series. For a 20,000 Naira program, we got a whole lot of value. I went with my entire team and some of my team, before they will not say, we did not pay for me and nothing. So, not everybody. Yeah, it wasn't everybody. Go next time. They will go next time, yeah. But we really had a great time. And many of those people were single and they were getting to hear about marriage from someone 5 years, someone 15 years, someone 33 years in marriage. Like, it's different. Someone that has done business for 5 years, 15 years, 35 years in business. So you're getting... It was a life series. Mrs. Ibuko Awushika was giving to people like, I want to help the next generation, and we got it. God bless you.
Amazing. Well done. Talking about teacher celebration, any plans to celebrate them beyond just saying
we have to do now. Yeah, it's Christmas.
Something like that.
Have to do. What are you planning?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm looking at my pockets. So TVC is doing her sales.
Yay.
Trade fair.
Are you here?
Friday. I'm coming. Of course, it's my place. Why wouldn't I be here? Now they host people. Now they allow people coming in. Now they collect visitor. Well done. So I'm going to be displaying my wares. And I know some of the vendors that are coming, they have very good products, affordable products. So I would like that people come out. This is a TVC Women's Network organizing this to support the small scale and medium businesses. It's a good one. So I'll be there for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So come, we'll have very cheap and affordable things for you to do. And I'm also hoping that the holiday will start soon so that we'll stop waking up very early. The children need to sleep. You people have worked really hard and mommy needs to sleep because when they wake up early, you would always hear, they'll come into your room, we're looking for perfume, we're looking for deodorant, we're looking for this, we're looking for that. So I'm looking forward to the holidays. And I feel like Christmas already.
Yeah.
I mean,
anybody who's feeling Christmas?
All of them will start. I've called them.
That you're coming.
I don't want to even hear that people disappear. Salah is a busy event for me. Yeah. All of them now will start traveling.
No, I'm not traveling. I'm here. Miriam is here. Top is here.
The travelers. They will just empty the
They don't want to give you rice.
They cannot escape this one.
All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we take the newspaper reviews. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we'll be starting the newspaper review with The Nation. Influential Nigerians behind illegal mining. Labour flays minister's proposal on 17 trillion pension fund. Vote for humanitarian affairs too meager to fight poverty, says Edu. Information needs more capital injection. Reps Committee seeks continuous review of PIA to meet global local needs. Akeredolu transmits power to Lucky Aiyedatiwa. 10 dead, 7 injured in Lagos-Ibadan Expressway auto crash. Electricity crisis, government to sell off 40% investment in discos. Rivers Assembly roll deepens. Federal government to pump $2.5 billion into primary healthcare in 3 years. How to shore up Nigeria's foreign exchange by Finance Minister. What stories do we have in The Nation?
I have better Edu.
Okay.
And she was working in front of the House Joint National Assembly Committee on Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation in Abuja. The committee is chaired by Senator Idiat Adebule. She said that the budget office allocated an overhead ceiling of 532.5 billion to her ministry, and that it is too small to fight poverty in the country, and it will not achieve the limited, it will only achieve limited results. She said that she appeared with all the agencies under her ministry, and she said that this is just a 28% increase from 2023 budget, and it will not cushion the effects of inflation. She said that the increase was not commensurate to the 27.33% inflationary trend in the country presently. He said that the capital budget ceiling was reduced from 3.7 billion in 2022 to 1.3 billion in 2023, representing 71% reduction. And she said there's also the creation of the Humanitarian Trust Fund by the president, which her ministry is also expected to oversee, and that was not covered or cannot be covered under this limited financing that her ministry is budgeted for her ministry right now. And I hope that this does not inform a pardon, but if it can be increased for her, or if something else can be done, because that's a trust fund and donors will of course be paying something to it. So this trust fund is expected to have contributions from the federal government's 30% counterpart funding, which is supposed to come from donor agencies as well as developers. So I'm hoping that those places would help with that funding. It's called the Humanitarian Trust Fund. I'm trying to get the exact word, the way it was captioned, but hopefully that can also help in buffering things. And I also like to see that it's public, the website where people go to capture people under her ministry, who are the beneficiaries under her ministry. Because I'm hearing a lot of figures, but I'm not seeing people who are benefited, and I'm not seeing how it's going to work out.
Okay, that's right.
Major headline, so the federal government in another attempt to end the inefficient operation of electricity distribution chain and the ownership crisis in many of our discos. The government has decided that it's going to sell off 40% shares in the firm. As we know, the government owns, the federal government and state government own 40% of these shares. We had the DG of BPE, Alex Oko, Bureau of Public Enterprises. He said that this will be offered will be done through public offerings at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. He's saying that the sale of these equities is supposed to help the government generate funds to part finance the 27.5 trillion Naira 2024 appropriation bill. We also had the Power Minister, Adiba Adelabu, suggested that the unbundling of TCN, the firm in charge of power transmission, but it's unable to wheel bulk of generated electricity to DISCO. He says that the inefficiency of TCN is the reason the national grid regularly collapses, is the reason the country is also unable to make available more than 3,000 megawatts out of the over 7,000 megawatts generated generation capacity. So this is another way that's looking at, first to raise money and also to see if the power sector can somehow be revamped and we'll get better efficiency from them.
So it's not like an outright sale, it's just that people will now have shares.
Well, they'll be selling it out so people can have it.
Well,
Still within the power sector, the proposal that the Minister for Power, we've been calling out the Minister for Power that we wanted to hear more from him, but he was speaking at the ministerial, there's like a retreat, minister's retreat, and he said that he requested for the pension fund, that they will be using he asked the pension fund administrators to infuse the fund from the pension to increase the power supply in Nigeria. He said that he's encouraging the pension fund to wield the over 17 trillion naira to delve into the Nigerian electricity supply industry. He disclosed this as part of that there is emerging contracts between the GENCOs and the DISCOs alongside formation of energy investment holding companies. But the NLC, that's the Organized Labour Congress, has said that they are not going to support this, that the pension is not a fund for them to use to intervene in the power industry. The power has received a lot of funds already and still not improved. And that a lot of workers have put their hope is on that pension fund, and they're supposed to get it when they retire. So they don't want any story to happen to the pension fund. I feel that the real issue here is transmission, and it's not a contract between GENCOs and DISCOs that will solve the problem. And pension fund should not be used in between trying to find the solution.
Completely agree. They should look to Sukuk.
Yeah.
Yes, look for towards
the
financing
for the
that
energy
you can.
issue.
So the Solid Minerals Development Minister, Dele Alake, has said yesterday that heavy and powerful Nigerians involved in illegal mining are behind insecurity, especially in the parts of the country with huge solid mineral deposits. So he said their activities were not only making the sector unfriendly for genuine foreign investors, but they are denying the nation huge incomes. And, he said that government is already identifying the errant ministers, errant miners, through kinetic and non-kinetic approaches to make, the areas with huge solid minerals secure for those that are interested in investing in the sector. So he said this when he appeared before the House Committee on Solid Minerals to defend the ministry's 2024 budget estimate. And he said he was willing to collaborate with the World Bank to maximally tap into the nation's solid minerals as well. And that one of the discoveries they made is that insecurity is really funded by these miners. And those foreigners we see are not even, they are just like the symptoms. They are not the main people, that they are backed by Nigerians. Nigerians that have money are the ones fronting those foreigners. And we've always talked about it's not possible for foreigners to come to a place, have access to mine, the natural resources without the support and influence of the people in that area. Yes. So they are trying to identify some of these people. I would like that they find them. Yes, not only them,
yes, so
politicians that have money are also involved. I hope that they will find them and then set somebody as an example. Use someone as an example to deter others. So let's move on now to the Punch. Okay, we'll be taking a short break. When we come back, the newspaper reviews continue. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're continuing with the Punch. Deputy takes over as Akeredolu returns to Germany for treatment. Ailing governor to transmit letter to lawmakers. Tinubu meets Ondo leaders again. Assembly holds closed-door session. Akeredolu promises full recovery before returning. Federal government probes use of foreign prisoners as construction workers. FG plans sale of 40% stake in discos. Others. Courts bars pro-Wike speaker. APC demands sanction for judge. Tinubu begs Nigerian doctors abroad to return. Over 5,000 Nigerians killed since May, a report. Rivers gunmen kill 4 soldiers, 2 drivers, and kidnap expatriates. Senate condemns Trade Ministry over 1 billion Geneva trip. Trade Ministry. Who has what story?
So I have the major headline.
Go ahead, please.
And so finally, following Monday's meeting with the president in Abuja, the proper thing going to happen in Ondo State going forward, according to the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, his principal has decided to return for full treatment abroad, and he will transmit a formal letter regarding his medical leave and a notice finally transferring power in line with our constitution, the Nigerian constitution, will be transmitted to the House of Assembly and transferring power to his deputy. So in his absence, the Lucky Aiyedatiwa would take over the affairs of the state. The governor, has promised to return when he's fully recovered, to the state. According to the Punch report, the governor is battling with cancer. And so for those of the political sides of Aiyedatiwa who will be celebrating Okefi, Arun, or Ikuyoyo, it's not something for you to celebrate that somebody is down, but we have a constitution which understands that we are human and that our fallibilities can bring us down at any time. Is presently down, which anybody can be, but the proper thing that has been provided for things like this will be done by the Constitution.
So I have the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo. He was at the National Assembly for his ministry's budget defense, and he had told the lawmakers that his ministry, that's the Ministry of Interior, raked in 1.19 billion from the issuance of expatriate quotas, and that is surpassing his projected revenue. After he had said that, we had the chairman of the Senate Committee on Interior, Adams Oshomole, who claimed that he had it on good authority that prisoners from foreign countries were brought into Nigeria to work on construction sites, that these people were taking jobs away from Nigeria. That in fact, what they were doing, what these prisoners there sent to Nigeria to work out their sentence, that's what they're doing, The minister has said, well, he said he had not heard of it, but this is something that will be investigated, and that he's also going to be working on reviewing some of their policies, the entire visa policy, vis-a-vis work permits, residence permits, and so on. And he will make sure that all these abuses come to a stop.
Please, still talking about Adams Oshomole. In this time, this Senate budget defense, he has been very, very vocal. He has done a lot of research, and he condemned the Senate Committee on Trade and Industry. On Tuesday, they've condemned the alleged 1 billion naira that has been budgeted for a Geneva trip. It was Senator Adams Oshomole that spoke up to say that why is the Minister for Trade budgeting 1 billion? What is all this bloated? He said, I can see you intend to travel to Geneva next year. And you have budgeted over 1 billion for that. We can't keep going on these over-bloated teams. We can't keep going with over-bloated teams for foreign trips. Use the experts you have in your office and in the country to save costs. He also complained that the minister apparently is not staying in her office, that she should stay inside her office because there's a budget for all those other places that she's working from. So he said that, she explained that her office is under renovation, and that's why. He also mentioned that there's a trade. What is our balance of trade? He asked the minister, what is our balance of trade? And she said that because Nigeria is not producing enough, and that especially with countries like China, we should use our population to demand for manufacturing to be done within Nigeria. As she is the Minister for Trade and Industry, she said she did not know. She doesn't have the data. Her answer is, I regret to say we seem to have no record of the balance of trade. At least it doesn't exist in the ministry, and that we have set up the Trade Intelligence Unit to ensure such data are shared. Oshomole disagreed to say that it's impossible for her to say that, it's wrong for her to say it, that the CBN has data, Custom has data, and she should not be a Minister of Trade and not have the data.
I agree.
All right, a human interest story. They said gunmen ambushed a convoy of Dewu workers along the Ahuada-Abua end of the east-west road in River State. They said it killed 4 soldiers, 2 drivers, and reportedly kidnapped 2 expatriates of the company. This happened yesterday, and the incident was gathered to have occurred at 9:30 a.m. and said criminal activities, have been going on in the area before. The people were on their way to Yenagoa, Bayelsa State capital, when they were ambushed. And according to some eyewitnesses, they said the gunmen had trailed the expatriate workers who were being escorted by troops along that Ahuada-Abua road and opened fire on them, killing the 2 soldiers, 2 civilians, and kidnapping 2 Koreans. And, some persons also said that this might be a reprisal attack, that earlier on soldiers had come into the environment to, get all the gunmen, seize their ammunition. And so this may just be them, coming to pay back. But the spokesperson for the State Police Command said she was not aware of that particular incident. However, they have, started the 6th Division Nigerian Army, have confirmed the attack, and they've started, going around looking for those people. Say they've sent their men, they've sent their troops to go find the suspects. So let's quickly move now to the Nigerian Tribune. Naira tumbles. Powerful Nigerians involved in illegal mining, funding banditry, terrorism, federal government. Naira tumbles at official parallel markets. Federal government to unbundle TCN into 2 entities, says gas pricing in dollar impacting electricity tariff. Akeredolu begins medical leave today, transmits power to Aidetiwa. Ogun kicks off GRA regeneration scheme set to create modern cities in Abeokuta, Ijebu-Ode, and others. Alleged food poisoning. Osun government orders full investigation. Affected students discharged from the hospital. Customs investigating female officer demanding 5,000 naira bribe at Lagos airport. Gunmen ambush Dewu convoy, kill 4 soldiers, 2 drivers, abduct Koreans. I've just taken that. Resume payment of 35,000 naira minimum wage, award immediately. TUC asks federal government. Expresses worry over Nigeria's debt profile. Rivers High Court recognizes Ehie as speaker. What stories do we have in the Tribune?
Let me just take this quickly. I think many of us have seen on social media a video of a Nigerian customs officer who allegedly was asking for bribe. And we have a response from Nigerian Customs. They said that, they put out a statement. It was signed by the National Public Relations Officer of NCS, Abdullahi Maiwada. So first of all, the service has condemned that alleged act of the officer, and they've called it inappropriate and unprofessional, and that investigation will go on. They acknowledged that there was a video. They saw that she was soliciting for 5,000 naira from a passenger so that she could, expedite the customs processing, and said that is so wrong. They also acknowledged that she is indeed a member and staff member of NCS, that's Nigerian Customs Service, and that after the investigation, appropriate measures will be taken disciplinary actions will be taken about that behavior. So.
What other stories?
So I have the Osun food poisoning story. So a primary school in Osun State, St. James Primary School B, Oshogbo, 18 students from that school suffered food poisoning from the oatmeal that, the school feeding program, which is done in the state. And according to the special advisor on oatmeal, Mrs. Grace Oluwase Yayodele, sorry, I think they inside, I didn't know. So the governor has ordered that the feeding program in that school be stalled for now, and the affected school, alongside the planning officer for the oatmeal program, be summoned to a meeting immediately. He also directed that the students and their cost of treatment be funded by the government while they investigate what led to what and how the kids got food poisoned in the school.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the story about the Naira tumbling. Surprisingly, yesterday, not even in the parallel market alone, in the official window, the Naira fell. Was it? Naira fell. Yeah, Naira fell in value.
It fell down.
Yes, it fell. And in the parallel market, it was going for, Naira is selling for 1,195 and it's being bought for 1,185. The governor of the CBN, Yemi Cardoso, has said that the Apex Bank is doing its best to ensure that Naira remains stable. However, there's a lot of pressure. On Tuesday, he closed at that was before Tuesday. Tuesday, when dollar was being sold for 1,260 as compared to 1,095. That's a sharp decline in the parallel market. They also explained that a lot of airlines are complaining they are going to be exiting as part of the fact that there are many challenges with them being able to repatriate their funds out of the country. And official business owners are saying they cannot sustain the business at this rate. All of that, we're waiting for what CBN is doing officially to strengthen the Naira at the moment.
Thank you, ladies. That's all we can take on the newspaper reviews. Next, we have a guest appearance, so stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Joining us on the show is the Program Manager, Women's Rights Unit, FCT, Niri Goyet. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How are you doing today, ma'am?
Fine, thank you.
All right, let's talk about ActionAid Nigeria. What does your organization do and stand for?
Okay, ActionAid is a non-governmental organization, and we work to eradicate poverty, and we try to do that by promoting gender equality and redistribution of power and wealth. Yes, so we believe in power in people. So we empower people to work with their leaders and governments to try to see how to create change, eradicate poverty, and drive development.
Okay, so before we move to the Women's Voice and Leadership Nigeria project, what would you say the challenges are that women face and women and girls face in Nigeria, and how does that increase the level of poverty?
Women and girls in Nigeria face a lot of challenges. Some of these challenges range from gender-based violence, like the statistics have shown that 1 out of every 3 women between the ages of 15 and 49, go through different forms of gender-based violence, from the physical violence, sexual violence, psychological or emotional violence, or socioeconomic violence, or a harmful traditional practice. So women and girls in Nigeria, face different forms of violence. Also, we also have, and why do they go through this violence? Because a lot of them are not empowered, the patriarchal society that Nigeria is, where we believe that men and boys are better than women and girls. From our cultural and religious beliefs, we uphold the beliefs that women are like a secondary, species of humans compared to men. So we may not come out to say that, but in our beliefs, in our practices, in our norms, that is strongly entrenched in our norms, so that results in the different forms of gender-based violence that women face. Also, women are not economically empowered. For instance, in the Nigerian society, women and girls don't get to inherit properties, from their husband's house to their father's house. So many cultures still believe that women should not inherit properties. A lot of girls don't go to school, so naturally, they grow up not being empowered. and women are secluded from so many spaces. You know, women representation in decision-making platforms is, it's very poor, because still going back to our cultures and religious beliefs that women should not be on the decision-making tables. But these decisions that are made are for women, affect the lives of women and girls, men and boys. For instance, like in Nigerian, political sphere, in the just concluded election.
Oh, her network, I believe. Can we move on?
I was going to ask her a question, but
I don't think she's...
for her to come back.
Yeah.
So that we can throw in a few questions. Also sad. That's the power of technology.
Yeah.
Okay, so she talked about women and girls not being able to inherit, but it's limited to certain areas within our cultures.
Yeah.
It's not prevalent in every area.
I hope she comes on, because we're both St. Louis old students. I remember her from school. And, we've been talking a lot with ActionAid, different representatives. It would be good to know exactly about funding and things like that, how they're able to, how people can access the funding, how organizations that help empower women can access.
So I hear she's back. Niri Goit, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly, I can hear you.
Okay. So let me get in another question.
Hello?
Okay.
Go ahead, Tope.
So I wanted
can
to
hear
ask, I want to be sure I'm not talking over you. You were talking about the women. You guys have had projects, I wanted to understand the context of the women-led organizations before you now went into women's voice and leadership projects. And we've spoken to a few of the people that have benefited, and I want to find out from you, how is the Canadian funded project a game changer? And in terms of the funding for gender equality. So what is this Women's Voice and Leadership project that is funded by the Canadian funded project? And I'd like to find out how this is changing the game.
Okay, because of the wide gap in gender, wide gap of gender inequality in Nigeria, and the Canadian government, they brought out a feminist policy for their country, and they set out to empower local women's rights organizations because they are aware of this issue of gender inequality across the globe. So Canada, set out in their feminist policy to empower local women's rights organizations because, they believe that local women's rights organizations are the foot soldiers, that do women's rights work at the national, state, and community level. Yeah. So, ActionAid collaborated with with Global Affairs Canada to launch the Women's Voice and Leadership Nigeria project in Nigeria, and despite the fact that these local women's rights organizations do a lot of interventions and work, they have that passion, to drive and alleviate, the issues around women. They hardly get access to resources. They don't have the capacity to compete for big grants like how the male-led organizations do. Of course, like I've explained earlier, the patriarchal society itself, also has that impact on them. And it has been a struggle in a while. So this project set out to build the capacity of local women's led, organizations. So both the organizations, that's the CSOs, the women-led networks and movements, community-based organizations, as long as those organizations are led by women. So this project set out to build their technical capacity, by providing different types of trainings based on their capacity gaps, and in institutional strengthening to strengthen their organization's institutions so that they can be capable enough to compete for big grants. And the project also set out to provide grants and funding, for this local women's rights organization over the period of 5 years. And this funding, we have them in different strands. We have the multi-year grant, grants where these local women's rights organizations have been benefiting in the last 5 years, where we give monthly grants to 100 women-led organizations across the 6 states and FCT, across the 6 geopolitical regions. So we also have the Strategic Opportunity Fund. It's a rapid response fund that these women can quickly access to carry out, an emergency intervention. Then we also have the Strategic Innovation Fund that allows these local women's rights organizations to come up with different forms of innovations that can address the issues of women in Nigeria.
Yes, so I mean, let's talk about accessibility to these funds. How easy and flexible is it for organizations, women-led organizations, to access these funds? Okay,
so in the last 4.5 years that this project has been running, that's from 2019, 162 organizations, women-led organizations, have been able to access these funds. So the multi-year runs, 100 organizations were selected at the inception using different forms of assessment and onboarded on the project. So those ones are constant. Then the Strategic Opportunity Fund, we have a website called the Feminist Hub. So the funding templates are uploaded on the Feminist Hub, and the Strategic Opportunity Fund runs, from January to December. So based on the strategic nature of your intervention, women-led organizations that apply to those funding, they are able to access that fund within the period of 24 to 48 hours. And that intervention lasts basically for like a week. So we've had organizations that applied for the fund and responded to, for instance, the issue of the Kogi women leader, the PDP women leader that was murdered in Kogi. Women movement applied for that fund and conducted a protest across Nigeria, and that got the attention of the IG, of police. Then we also had, different issues, like when there was flood last year across the country, different local women's rights organizations reached out for the fund, and they were able to cater for the needs of women and girls that were affected by the flood. And the intervention fund, the Strategic Innovation Fund, we do a call once a year, and women's rights organizations compete for that fund. So those with the most biggest innovations are able to use that fund to test their innovations, and if those innovations, work well in addressing the needs of women and girls in Nigeria, they're able to apply for bigger grants with other organizations and scale up. As a result of all these capacity buildings that ActionAid Nigeria has given these local women's rights organizations, lots of them have been able to access funding from big organizations. Now, I guess that is our biggest success stories, that organizations. Yeah.
Let's get a few more questions in for you. So let's talk about impact and successes. How has this project impacted the lives of over 7.1 million women, girls, and families in Nigeria?
Oh, yes. So this project, we have seen transformation, of local women's rights organizations. So like I said, organizations that were not known, they were just in one little corner. Some of them could not, afford to rent offices. Some of them were running their organizations from their homes. This project has been able to help them to get offices, get furniture, equipment, recruit staff for a period of 5 years and pay staff salaries, and be able to expand on their work and thematic areas. About 52% of these organizations are able to access funding from bigger donors like USAID, UN Women, WHO, different kinds of funding, and in terms of reach, this project has been able to reach 7,391,866 women and girls in Kwara, Bauchi, Kebbi, Lagos, Enugu, Cross River, and the FCT, so we also work with national networks like FIDA, Form 1, Queens, smallholder women farmers that work across the 36 states in Nigeria. So this project has been able to reach these persons. And in terms of gender-based violence, this project has been able to provide services to 10,000 116 women and girls that have suffered different forms of gender-based violence. And these services range from psychosocial support, economic empowerment, shelter. This project has helped in establishing 3 shelters, one in the FCT, one in Kwara, and another in Lagos. And we're funding 3 other existing shelters in Nigeria. This project has also helped to empower women economically. The project has been able to provide skills to about 1,500 women across, because we have 100+ partners. So these organizations are working to build the capacity of women, teach them skills, give them seed grants. And as a result of that, like for instance, the village savings loan that, is one of the economic empowerment scheme on the project, women have been able to generate about 200 million just from their savings and, community loan groups. They have been able to generate that amount of money by themselves, and they're helping to establish and grow their businesses. In terms of sexual and reproductive health rights, we are creating a lot of awareness. We have ActionAid, Association of Women Living with HIV, working across the country and providing, that information and awareness on women's sexual and reproductive health rights. In terms of education, the project has touched a lot of girls in schools. Like in Kebbi State, one of our partners, Nana, was able to establish an e-learning hub during the COVID lockdown where girls could not access the formal schools to prepare for their WAEC. So they were able to set up the e-learning hub, that those girls were able to, go and practice WAEC questions, papers, and increase their learning for their exams.
Amazing.
So I wanted to ask about, I know that from all the things you've said, this is a whole lot. I heard that you now have a project website, and it's called the Feminist Hub. Can you shed more light on the project website and why this platform was established?
Okay, so the Feminist Hub, is a knowledge management site that is meant to provide, different forms of information for women's rights organizations across the world. So not just women in Nigeria are able to access that hub, but it's it's something that women's rights organizations across different countries can access. And, and there we have different project reports, we have research reports, we have different information, grant application templates. We also have like a mentorship program, going on the Feminist Hub, where female mentors, women who have accomplished and they feel they can mentor another woman, are able to put their profile, and those young girls or women who need to be mentored go to identify their mentees and they reach out to them. So there's an ongoing mentoring program. Then we also, have other organizations. The WVL project reports are being posted there, different information on how to set up your organization, grow your organization. We have people networking on the feminists. So it's a resource base for feminists, for local women's rights organizations, for, different kinds of people that want to learn on women's rights programming.
Thank you.
You get this hub, you'll be able to access so much information there.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for joining us on the show today. We've been speaking with the Program Manager, Women's Rights Unit, FCT, of the WVL, Women Voice Leadership. Thank you so much, ma'am.
And from one St. Louis old student to another, well done. So proud to see you.
All right. That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we discuss our hot topic. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. We have breaking news. So Rivers begins demolition of Assembly Complex, and we have our correspondent, Uche, who will be sharing with us what is going on there. Good morning, Uche.
Hi, good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Okay, so give us a sneak peek into what's happening around Rivers State right now.
I'm sure you can see clearly behind me. Right behind me, the demolition exercise is ongoing. The particular part of the complex you can see right now, there is you can see that blue dome over there. That indicates the particular spot of the legislative chamber that was earlier attacked by arsonists, that was burnt down that fateful Sunday night, breaking just before Monday morning, where the whole impeachment controversy began. So right now, as I speak to you, the assembly complex is being demolished. I count 11 bulldozers as I speak.
Whoa. So was there a problem with the House of Assembly complex originally? Just to put things in context.
Please, you might have to take that again. I didn't get that.
Was the building faulty? Did it have any renovation needs before this demolition?
Well, I didn't get you, but I think you're
Was the building faulty? Was the building faulty initially before this demolition?
Oh, no, it wasn't faulty, but we know that the assembly complex was attacked. It's been in the news. TVC actually broke that news on Sunday night at about 9 p.m., just before the 10 p.m. news, that about when we broke the news of the attack on the assembly complex that Sunday night. So the legislative chamber, it's a big complex. I'll just turn around so you can see. It's a big complex. It's a big complex there in Port Harcourt. It's a very big complex, but the particular building that the particular point of the complex that was attacked was the legislative chamber of the Rivers of House Assembly. That was a specific point that was attacked. So that's the only part of the building that was damaged. The other parts of the complex were still in use. You can see the bulldozers at work. I counted 11 just moments ago. So that's the situation. So the complex, you can see this part of the building is still standing. It wasn't affected by the fire. Yeah, it's not affected. It wasn't affected by the fire on that on Sunday night. This other part of the building as well is still standing. It wasn't affected. So just to answer your question directly as to if the complex was damaged, the only part of the complex that was affected by the fire that day was just the legislative chamber of the assembly. But right now, the entire complex seems like it's going down.
Uche, you see, the story of this demolition has two folds that I want us to address. One is the allegation that it is a move by the governor to prevent the members that defected from sitting. There were allegations that even the fire incident was a man-made fire incident, and now that the demolition is also a move to prevent the assembly from sitting. Can you help us give a bit of clarity to the speculations we're hearing about this fight between the governor and the Minister of FCT?
Well, when that particular fire incident occurred, that no one has come out to claim responsibility. There have been allegations flying left, right, center as to who could possibly be responsible and who the sponsors are. But nobody has come out to categorically state that I am responsible by way of evidence. The only entity the only entity whose opinions or whose word we can take to the bank is the police. It is their duty to investigate and determine if there is any truth to those who have alleged that one group was responsible for the fire. But as I speak to you, we've not had any definitive word from the police. The only response from the police so far is that they are investigating. So right now it remains in the realm of speculation as to who was responsible for that fire, even though political watchers can't make an informed guess. Then on the issue of who is responsible for this demolition exercise that is ongoing now, just flip the camera again so you can see live pictures. It is ongoing right now. These are live pictures of the situation here. So as to who could be responsible for this one, well, like then again, informed guess could be made, but nobody has come out to claim responsibility. The governor himself, the governor himself, who they say is responsible, has not categorically come out to say, I am responsible for this.
Can they demolish without the governor?
Governor's consent. Go ahead,
Let's
get a few more questions, Uche. A few more questions for you.
Come again.
Okay, so...
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, there are two things. How do River State people feel about what is going on right now, the demolition? Is it something that they are cheering? And then what does it really mean? You know, how would it impact sittings and proceedings? Does that mean that that cannot happen, or is there another place that may have been put aside for them to meet?
Uche, are you there?
Beautiful building.
As in...
Hello, Uche, are you there? Okay. Yeah, so we lost him.
So
Yes.
this will be the first
go
time
ahead.
that elections happen in Rivers State and we don't hear pow, pow.
Yeah, but there's demolition.
It's a shooting galore usually, Rivers State every election. And I was hoping that, you know, peace has finally come. You know, everybody have, all the lions have decided to calm down. But we are seeing it play out. So the 27 lawmakers of the Rivers State House of Assembly that decamped are not receiving the governor's budget. The governor is approaching the remaining who are PDP members with the budget, seeking approval of that budget for 2024 from only 4 members. And I'm wondering, which kind of party election? Because we know the number of votes that he would need to third and all of that. Why not wait until the litigation is over? Also, there's a pending litigation. They got an ex parte order preventing this demolition. It is ex parte. And the governor, or whoever is ordering the demolition, went ahead to have it.
I'm even more worried about the wastage.
Yeah, is it that the entire building was it
the entire building was bad and needed to be renovated, then we will understand. But if this is just being done as vendetta, it doesn't make sense for our economy. And I will expect that the Rivers State people will stand up for this and speak against it and fight
Rivers
it.
State people are usually quiet when they fight, the elephant starts to fight.
Yeah.
Everybody just
No, they shouldn't. This is our resources that are going down the drain. But Uche Okoro is back. Good morning. Uche, are you back? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm back. Sorry for that briefing.
Okay, so Miriam had a question for you. Go ahead, Miriam.
Okay, Uche, I was asking how the Rivers State people feel about this demolition going on right now. Is it like a welcome development for them, or are they really upset about it? And do you think that are they out on the streets talking about it? That is one. Two, what does this mean for sittings and proceedings that would normally happen within the building? Is there any provision that's been made for them to sit while this demolition is going on? Can you hear me?
Can you hear us, Uche? He's out again. So you were going to say something.
Yeah, because I feel that I remember we've discussed this several times since this crisis has started, and then immediately after the fire incident, the assembly sat. The lawmakers sat within that same complex. So it wasn't like the fire consumed everything and it was beyond repair. So I wouldn't have expected that demolition would be the next action, but I'm sure that there's a ministry for works within Rivers State. Probably engineers that conducted assessments. Thankfully, we have Freedom of Information Bill, which means that citizens can ask if the building was in such a state of disrepair. They could go to court to request the letter letter of assessment, or the assessment they got from engineers that the building was it was in such a state that it will constitute a danger to the lives of the assembly members to sit there. Maybe if they get that, then we are sure that this is not a political demolition, because really, why would you demolish, not in the economy that people are still struggling to get money to fund. I know Rivers has money. Rivers is not one of those states that is struggling financially, but still there are a lot of things that the people would rather their money be spent on and not building a new House of Assembly complex.
Really sad.
It's a sad one. Yeah, the people need to start speaking up.
Yesterday we were talking about, the people playing politics within the state, and we're thinking the governor was a victim of the minister.
So I hear Uche Okoro is back again. Let's try one more time. Uche, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can hear you.
Please don't go off again. Miriam had a question.
It's the environment. The environment really tense. So
I understand.
Once I sense danger, I would have to switch off.
Thank you for what you do for us. And as this, I'm hoping this is the last time I get to ask it. So I'm asking how Rivers State indigents and residents feel about the demolition going on, and secondly, has there been any provision for the legislators while this demolition is going on? That means somewhere that they can sit and legislative proceedings can still carry on.
Well, at the moment, residents of it is mixed feelings. But even those who perhaps have some form of political bias for what's going on. By the way, what you're seeing are live pictures. It is live pictures of what's going on at the Rivers State House of Assembly complex. I flipped the camera, so I believe you'd rather see the pictures than see my face. There are live pictures of what's going on right now as I'm speaking to you at the Assembly complex. I mentioned earlier that 11 bulldozers are at work inside this complex, just on the other side of this white, faded white fence that you see on your screen. But then about your question as to how the people are feeling, I would say that it is a lot of persons are not happy, even for those who have political bias in favor of one camp in this political crisis. Many persons do not want this to degenerate to this level. Nobody wanted things to degenerate to this level. Even if many of the persons have spoken to off the camera have said, even those who are in support of one side or the other side, the two political gladiators, said it didn't have to come to this. This is taking the state, according to them, taking the state back to the dark days of perhaps 2015 and maybe the build-up to 2019. Even though the state is used to drama like this, I mean, many persons thought that we would have moved beyond this, and this latest political crisis wouldn't have degenerated to this level. Then, in terms of if an alternative space has been provided, so far it's been the 27 lawmakers who defected to the APC who have been making use of this complex. They've had the monotony of access to this place. So now that it is being demolished, I think they would have to look for another. They would perhaps now have to look for another space to do their job if they intend to continue to do so, to sit. So that's the situation right now.
They have to look for another space to do their job. But Uche, have you spoken to any of the 31 lawmakers or the clerk of the House? Have you spoken to any of them?
Well, I haven't been able to reach any of the 27, I beg your pardon, lawmakers so far yet. I've not been able to reach them. But I turned the screen so you could see just behind me. While there are 11 bulldozers at work inside the assembly complex, this is what you can see behind me. Is a place called Moscow Road. And directly behind me as well is the Secretariat of the Nigerian Union of Journalists. Now, along this across the stretch of this Moscow Road, you have these low bed caterpillars. Now, these caterpillars have been strategically positioned to block access, so to provide some form of a cover for the bulldozers that are working inside. So while if you're approaching from my left, this is my left, and you're approaching from my right, you can't get to the point where you have the gates to the assembly complex. These low bed trucks have just one job. They were just assembled here to block the road, while the caterpillars are inside comfortably doing their job. So it's a very interesting situation going on. I know it's going to be a long day in Port Harcourt today.
Okay, so here I am thinking that what would security what would security be like in Rivers State? So it's very personal for me because our entire family are going to Rivers State by tomorrow for graduation of my in-laws. So I'm very concerned. I want to be sure that going there is going to be safe for them. I want to be sure that family members there are also safe. Citizens of Rivers are also safe, that there won't be... Are you hearing anything about protests? What are the police, the Commissioner of Police in Rivers, what's he saying?
Right now?
So far, the security situation everywhere is calm. You know, many persons had expected that. Many persons had expected that in the wake of this crisis, all hell was going to break loose. We're going to have violent protests and violent clashes. People would have died by now. The system has completely burnt down. But surprisingly, the only tension that we're feeling, the only heat we're feeling right now is amongst the political elite. That aside, apart from that, the state is generally calm. Here at the assembly complex, the security agencies and the policemen, I should be specific, are not interfering. I guess they are just here to maintain security. I can't cite any police officer inside the complex itself where the demolition is taking place. Rather, what we have are police trucks lining the road, trying to ensure that perhaps people don't try to force their way into the complex. But generally, there is generally in Rivers, you don't get the sense of a total breakdown of law and order. You don't. Like I said, the only sense of tension you get, it seems to be coming from the political elite.
So, Uche, Uche, currently we hear that the governor is presenting the budget proposal to 4 members of his party, the PDP. Can you confirm this, or can you refute it? What is happening on ground?
Well, I've also gotten that information that it is ongoing at the Rivers State Government House. Yes, as at this particular minute, I cannot say if that has ended or how far gone, but we can say the answer to your question is yes.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Okay, Uche Okoro, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll still be getting more updates from you as the story reveals itself or unveils, okay? Thank you so much, yes. Definitely. We'll be coming back if we need to come back to you to get more. All right, I think we should take a short break now. When we come back, we'll likely do our hot tub.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So still on the demolition of the House of Assembly in Rivers State, we would like to hear from the people of Rivers what their thoughts are on what is going on right now in Rivers State. And you can also join the conversation and call us on 081-076-41679 and 090-241-63440. So I personally would like to have the government or the governor, as the case may be, make a statement on what is actually going on. We'd like to know who has ordered this demolition and to what end, to what purpose, how does it affect us economically or not. The people must begin to ask some of these questions so that you hold people accountable. If there is any form of fracas between the political parties, that shouldn't affect our economy in any way. This is not the time that we lay wastage because some factions are not pleased or some factions are not happy. We should be able to separate that political intrigues from governing the people and things that will affect the people directly. Because after this demolition, the worst part of it is when they want to build another one, we'll be hearing billions flying here and there. We need to earmark money for this, we need that. And I also did not see any form of, there was no room for people to take out furniture from the House of Assembly, or are they telling me that that place is an empty space? They've been using it for a while. It did not burn everything.
I feel
there are sites that the fire didn't touch.
When I want to complain, it's doing me like I am crying more than the bereaved. The people of Rivers State have been quiet. Silence is consent. It means they are okay with what their governor is doing. They are okay with how the governor is choosing to fight what they have termed imposition from political godfatherism. So if people of River State are okay with what is going on in their state and they do not complain, who am I, an Ijebu girl, to start talking about the issue? Why should I complain on their behalf? But I look at it and I feel like it might spread. When we don't deal with something in one state, it becomes precedence. If one governor or a former governor gets away with doing something, then another governor feels like, okay, I can also do this. Another former governor feels like I can also do this. There has been major political instability within Rivers State, which means that there will be no governance in Rivers State. There's no time. What are they going to do?
Yeah,
Who will go and sit down now?
So we speak because we're all Nigerians, and just as you've said, you have family going to Rivers State. We're all Nigerians. We live here, all of us. Does not matter where we're from. You just might have a family member or yourself moving from one part of Nigeria to the other. And the thing is, we want Nigeria to work. As in the case with Ondo State, we saw the intrigues back and forth, and finally, just as the Constitution has mentioned, that is what they are doing. I just feel that there has to be a process where a governor, a sitting governor, is immune, right? He has immunity, but when he leaves office, he should be, that governors are aware that they will be asked to give account and they will suffer consequences of some of the actions that they have taken. So that while they're in office, they'll be very careful how they go about doing some things. Right now, everything is allegations, but I know that it's impossible for the 11 bulldozers pulling down the legislative house to do that without the knowledge, at least, of the governor. This cannot be happening without the governor being aware. And it will be very important to see him come on TV or something to separate himself from what is going on, or give us the reason why he thinks this should be going on. I think this is unfair to Rivers State people. I think it's unfair to the investments that people have made in Rivers State, taxpayers' money. As rich as we may say Rivers State is, there are many communities in Rivers State that are struggling here and there. We've seen them. So monies that should be put towards building and developing people, we're going to be rebuilding structures that didn't have to be pulled down in the first place.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so for me, it's interesting. You know, it's nothing new. With Rivers,
this one is new.
It's like watching Jackie Chan film. You want the boss to win, actor to die, be actor to win. You know, we see drama in Rivers. They bring the movies.
Life and direct.
Blockbusters.
So I'm just wondering if Fubara was so meek as he was projected, a victim of the former governor, he had godfatherism, plaguing him in that state. Who is the strength behind what we're seeing?
This demolition.
Yes, because some people didn't like the former governor. Some names were, afraid at the former governor's attitude during governance. So maybe they are giving him the backing now that let's go ahead and deal with him and do this. The only painful thing is that a budget passed by a 4-member house cannot have proper approval. So we will see a lot of court cases. The House of 27 House of Assembly members now disenfranchised and their constituencies disenfranchised. I'm always learning. I'm a law student for life. New and emerging issues interest me.
Yeah.
I'd like to see how this plays out, what the court says, and how it finally ends. We're learning every day. I'm just, wondering how the House of Assembly members presently are feeling. When this happened in Edo State, where House of Assembly members couldn't even have a house, for long we were shouting.
Yeah, but they did not demolish. This one, they just locked it up. This one, they demolished. Anyway,
they did.
Let's take a few comments so we'll wrap up this.
Time Media is saying that the budget presentation will infuriate the presidency. The governor thinks he can fight this battle alone, and that he doesn't think that the governor can last up to 1 year. Wow. He also said that he's sure that Wike will definitely hold the conference today or very soon. Another person was replying to me that Rivers people are used to this drama. They're tired.
Yeah, so Olushola James Taiwo says, good morning, lovely ladies. Whereas we, residents and indigents of Rivers, were empathetic with and aligned with Governor Fubara at the outbreak of the cacophony of political gladiators, the latest happening of demolition is highly condemnable and a setback in the episode.
Yeah. All right, that's all we can take on this segment. I hope that the people of Rivers will stand up and fight for their rights. Right.
Who's supporting their rights?
I don't know. They just need to stand up. We need to see some form of standing up so that when other people are fighting for you, they understand that you too are not just sitting down and allowing this to happen in the environment. But that's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we move on to our Let's Talk. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. On this segment, we will be learning how the country can harness the enormous untapped potentials in agriculture to boost our economy. And joining us on the show is an agribusiness expert, Owadiale Agemome. You're welcome, sir. Did I try?
Yeah.
So we are here to talk agriculture this morning. And anytime we hear agriculture, we just hear planting and harvesting. And I would like to know if planting and harvesting alone is enough to take us to where we want to be as a country.
Thank you for having me on the show in the first place. I'd like to redefine the word agriculture. So a simple definition of agriculture is planting natural resources for sustainability of human race and the economic value.
Okay.
Now, there's a difference between agriculture and agribusiness.
Okay.
It's very different. So what we do is agribusiness. And the only way that you would tailor agriculture into the economy is through agribusiness. You need to see agriculture in the first place as a business. Okay. For instance, you know, our company, Radio Farms, we operate all palm in Edo State. We sit on 2,509 hectares of land in Edo State. Now, the business that we have curated in the oil palm sector, it's just like every company you see, right? It has every category of employee. It's not the conventional, like you understand, you go till the soil, you have somebody with some hose, a shoulder, and a cap. You know, you have those category of people, yes. However, it's a business, okay? The only way one way for the economy, Nigeria economy, to benefit from the agricultural sector or the agribusiness sector is to operate commercial agriculture.
So let me dig a bit further into the commercial agriculture perspective, because at least on this set there are about two of us that play in the agri-space. She plays within the rice space.
Okay.
And one of the issues I've heard from people who are also into agriculture is the fact that as long as we don't have a commodity board that fixes a price for what, like a range for what items would sell for, we would always have issues. You know, I buy my day-old chicken and I'm trying to raise the chicken for the next 3 months. I don't know how much I will sell chicken. I might have bought the chicken, spent money, and suddenly when I want to sell my chicken, I find out that there's a glut or something happened and the price, or they opened the borders. And suddenly we are flooded with frozen chicken, and the chicken that I have taken a loan to buy and feed for the 3 months, there's no specific amount I can sell it. It also happens with if you plant cassava. You plant your cassava with funds and you don't know how much you will sell your cassava in 9 months. So what do you think? Do you believe that having a commodity board, having a fund, a specific regulation within the agric would help to boost agric business?
Yeah, so a commodity board, yes, would help boost agribusiness, because regulation is important, right? When you allow people just essentially decide what they want to do, it then has this effect where you have the big players pushing out the small players because of capacity. As to every business, especially agric, there is a minimum size of every business you have to start with or set up for you to thrive. So recently we have a partnership with a French company. We just signed the contract 2 weeks back to produce bananas for them. Now, the minimum we can start that business with is 250 hectares of land. Now, if I was going to that business and I was trying to start at 50 hectares, I would face a lot of issues. Pricing. I can't meet the pricing. Someone with bigger plantations will push me out of the business. I was just speaking to someone last night. This is not even agriculture, it's in the petroleum sector. And it's so interesting that the same thing play out. The small importers are struggling with their margins, and the very big guys are cashing out. They import petroleum products from wherever. They have the cash to pay ahead. You know, your small guys are trying to just use LCs and the like. It's the same thing, right? So
are there some lucrative areas? Let's use the chicken business, for instance. So some people are in the business of chicken feed. and some people are in the business of just, rearing the birds. And the chicken feed people would at some point continue to vary prices.
Absolutely.
Because the increased price, you're rearing your birds, you have to increase. We have a poultry farmer we shop with, and birds were initially 4,000 when we met. It is 8,000 upon chicken feed increment. So what's the most lucrative area of, for instance, that part of agriculture?
Talking about the poultry sector, we've played a bit around there. The concept for us that has worked is having several, on the value chain, you need to play along that value chain as much as you can. Because if you just isolate yourself to one part of the value chain, you will be constrained to a great extent. Again, going back to the oil palm, we not only farm, we process into crude palm oil, palm kernel cake, right? If you run the numbers, yes, you use that for feed manufacturing, pigs and bears as well. So if you look at the numbers and you just want to sell, if I was just doing the farming, I'll sell the FFB, call it FFB professionally, but it's called banga in the local market, that's the banga. And you want to sell that, you will essentially not make anything. You will struggle, right? But when you add value, it becomes different. Now, that's why I go back that you need a certain minimum capacity to thrive in agriculture. You don't just put in 1,000 beds.
Okay, so a Nigerian is watching you, and we know the average Nigerian, things are quite tough. And you've put some of your money you saved aside, and you're thinking of going to agribusiness, and you're saying, well, if you don't have capacity. So this person is thinking, what should my capacity be? So, and if I don't have that, is there no hope for me in the agribusiness?
That's where collaboration comes in.
Okay, so tell us, how would that work for someone?
So so when you assess your business that you want to, value chain you want to play in, and you are able to figure out the minimum capacity, and you cannot meet that capacity, you don't necessarily have to go into the core farming. You can buy from existing people and sell. You don't have to rear the chicken in terms of in this space, right? And if you really do want to go into the core farming, then collaborate. Get a group of people. No, you could aggregate a certain number of small farmers that are interested in the same line of business and channel your energy successfully towards that venture.
Do you think we are ripe enough for collaboration? Because I see we do well individually. Do well to some extent, because I believe that we could do more if few of us come together to start a business. But there's usually this fear when it comes to collaboration. This is not just in the agribusiness, in other aspects of life. And I'm wondering, do you think Nigerians are mature for collaboration?
Well,
is there any way we can help them get to that point? Because now we're seeing that we need to collaborate in order to enter some industries and make the business big enough to drive foreign investors and own the space.
Let me just also add, apart from just maturity, like legal documentation, is this something that we look to, or is just gentleman's agreement that we're still working with?
So that's why I say it's called agribusiness. And as to every business, there are series and level of processes you have to put in place. Collaboration is actually very possible. I've seen it happen on a large scale, on a small scale. Now, but you have to be well informed of what is required for you to collaborate and seek the right guidance, pay the right people. Don't go on Google, download the document, edit that document. You understand?
You jump lawyer.
And all of this costs money. So at the end of the day, that's why I say you realize if you don't have the capacity to start at that minimum, get people so you have the right capacity to start. Collaboration is in today's world or today's Nigeria with the current climate that we all playing. Essentially, collaboration is the way.
Yes, so you can't do it by yourself.
You can't do it by yourself anymore because there's certain capacity, again, that you need to sit in for you to thrive. Else, you will not be able to.
Before we started the show, as he mentioned, He has oil palm. I've already been asking because it's an industry I'm eyeing, but I know that I'm not going to be the one to do the oil palm.
Exactly.
I'm going to have to collaborate. Nima does rice. She knows the paddy. She checks it, but she's not the one farming the rice. So that's collaboration, and that's checking.
My partner selects the paddy.
Uh-huh.
So I only know the ones I want. I only know the areas of paddies that I would really like to be milled. So I don't go to the market. I don't know the farmers personally. And collaboration is what I think helps you know the business. So you have your expertise in one area. I can market anything.
And focus on that area, exactly.
That's my strength.
Area of strength.
But in collaborating and speaking with my partner, I've learned a lot about the entire business of milling, paddy, buying, and all of that. So it's the way to go. If eventually I want to be doing paddy, I have experience.
Have
knowledge.
Just to come back, a partnership we just signed with a company in France. Now, we told them, we say, well, our expertise is oil palm. We will do anything about oil palm from the start to the end of it. Anything. Sleeping or awake, or we will do it. But now, we can also farm bananas for you, but we are not experts in bananas. So, thank you. You would have to bring in that technical expertise. Even if we bring the funding, you will bring the technical expertise, you will guide us, you will support us technically, and then, of course, you will take everything that we produce. We didn't say, oh, don't worry. Don't worry, we'll plant the banana, we can do that. No.
Upfront with them.
We got this.
Even logistics, we said, we are not doing logistics. We are not a logistics company.
So that means you have to pick it up from the
So let's talk
pick
about
it up themselves.
Yeah, what you think we can do to tap the potentials in our agricultural sector in a country like Nigeria. First of all, how do we identify those products that can skyrocket us into?
Where is the money?
Because I know that there are specific needs of certain products in other countries that are looking to countries like us to export to them. So how do we identify those products, and what can we do to put ourselves in that space where we own the space and we're able to make so much for our economy? Because we need to diversify. They say, oh, yeah, don't finish. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, there are several products, to be honest, that has a lot of international market value. Some we are currently working on now is cocoa and cassava, for export opportunities. How do I identify this? Information is power, right? There is no structured system that we have where you can access this information. However, there are people, freight forwarding companies that you can speak to that will tell you where they export certain products to very frequently. And that you can use to backtrack yourself to what you might want to focus on producing. Export of agricultural products is going to be, because I know the extent of people right now that are focused on it, is going to be one key driver for Nigerian economy, forex-wise. Even ourselves, we are diverting into that as well. So, and there's so much, besides, there's one thing to produce and export. There's one thing to actually produce the right product. We do maybe 30 ton per hectare tomatoes in Nigeria. Brazil is doing 200 ton per hectare.
So the seedling is also important.
It's very important, and this makes a difference. How are you going to compete with a farm doing 200 ton per hectare and you doing 30?
As in, it's not even half.
Is it about species or is it about techniques?
It's techniques and species.
Okay.
It's both of them. But what BC was asking, because we know a lot of people are watching and saying, oh, so there's opportunity in agri. Can we have a high, unemployment is really high. People are watching and trying to find where is the money in agriculture? How can I play in agricultural space without having capital? And I would like us to drill down to those people who are watching right now and are wondering, so this money in agriculture, how can I make it? I don't have capital. I want to collaborate. What are can you give examples of how such people can collaborate? What are the industries? What are the people you feel like they can be looking out for to work with?
Okay, if you don't have the capital, you need to have information. Commodities that I would personally recommend are commodities that are not time sensitive for export. You have to be very, very organized to deal on time sensitive commodities.
Because we're not equipped
We are not equipped
help you take it
to do
faster.
that. So for those that are interested in exports of commodities in terms of, maize, I know that there's a ban on maize. Cassava, there's no ban on cassava. Cocoa, there's no ban on cocoa. These are commodities that you can easily source. Sesame seeds, you can easily source them, from the north. They are aggregating companies, actually, that there's, Thrive and a few other ones that their business is aggregation.
So I'm hearing so much of export raw materials. And I'm wondering because if we do production, that's how we employ more. So how do we, in agribusiness, value addition, go into the production side? For instance, those your partners in France, do they take raw materials or are they thinking of coming to set up processing plants here to
No, we're taking it as raw. Raw. Now, Nigeria has a few things to do with, including the right funding, including power, and a few other things to deal with when it comes to processing. For those of us into manufacturing, we know what diesel has become over the past couple of months, and the thing is, you cannot translate that cost back to the end user. They won't buy the product, right? So you need in every business you need to understand when to fight and when to yield. You need to understand where you want to go into production. It's good, you add more value, obviously, to make more money, but you need to look at the entire dynamics and say, okay, can I do this? And if you want to go into production, again, you have to be at a certain capacity for you to see that production line thrives.
So people like you now are big in this business, agri business, like you called it. And I'm wondering, are you presenting some of the challenges you're facing and liaising with government or having conversations with government to say, we are playing big in this and these are some of the challenges we're facing that we need you to come in to also encourage other people who are smaller to play in this as well? Have you started that conversation? Or as a big man minding your business, you focus on getting your people from France, and then the poor man who wants to get into this will not have any form of access?
Absolutely. We engage the government in several ways, security as well, access to land, which we just spoke about, and funding where possible if it's something they can really deal with.
You mentioned it off air, but you're assuming like they knew. The access to land he was talking about was not on air.
Yes.
He was saying that they get land from the government. That way you don't have to buy the land for agri when you are doing big. So,
but will that land be free? But let's
it's free from the government, just regular land rents.
For agriculture.
Okay, so for me, another thing that is quite interesting to me is sustainable agriculture and production and manufacturing. When you see like many other African countries, they're doing different products, they're able to use after you've taken on just different parts of the plant and using it for furniture, for clothes. I mean, somebody here, Pineapple, was talking to us about making diapers from it. So I'm wondering, with the oil palm that you're doing now, beyond the regular that we know, are you looking to other sustainable products that can be derived from the oil palm? And how do you think Nigerians can tap into that and invest in that?
Yes, for oil palm, the value chain is extensive. It's beyond the main ones I mentioned. You can make broom out of it. You can make shisha coal. You can make that out of, you can make it out of it. So for us, you can make soap out of it. And we already see that happening. We have people, small-time people come, they buy that part of we call them waste, but that's raw material as well. They buy that and make soap out of it. So we already see that happening in our value chain. And like you said, people that do not have that capacity, they come play in that small niche, out of our value chain, and we welcome them. In fact, it's beneficial to our system, actually. So what we do encourage is that, once you know the capacity you can play in the value chain you want to play in, then you just anchor on that level.
I'm really hoping that that at some point the ministries will start to empower businesses to go into production, because I don't think selling raw materials alone.
Processing.
Processing, yeah.
Processing.
So you take it to the end of finished, other finished products.
It's an energy
The entire chain.
But we need a lot of electricity.
It would be
challenge.
good because it was a cardinal country now that actually they ban export of raw materials. You can't
export
it
I
out.
thought we also heard something about Ghana and their cocoa to France.
Yes.
They're trying to keep more of their cocoa so they can produce their own chocolate instead of...
You know, and it's amazing how this works.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
We
much.
have been speaking with an expert in the agribusiness, Mr. Owadiale Agemome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
you
you.
for enlightening us on what we can do more to harness our agricultural potential for our economy. And thank you so much, ladies, for being amazing today, as always.
We have two farmers already.
Oh, yes, you have two farmers already. You have a manufacturer too. Yes. So that's all we can take on the show today. We'll see you again tomorrow. Do have a lovely day. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.